Okay, so this is the Draw My Life tag, everybody, and I'm really excited, so here we go. So, on February 21st, 1989 is when I was born. And I was born in a little hospital, and my mom, after I think it was about 19 hours of labor, ended up giving birth to me. So she was probably in a lot of pain. Ow. So then my mom's name was Eleanor, and she had curly hair, and that was my dad's name was Ron, and we lived in this apartment building that my grandpa had owned, and that's where we lived. So my mom, of course, had curly hair, and my dad had curly hair, and so I ended up with curly hair and gigantic cheeks, apparently. So, and then when I was two, we found a little black kitten, black and white kitten, outside of my house, and I named him Turkey Head, and he was awesome. So my earliest memory was somehow this is the weirdest thing. I remember sitting on this blanket and the TV was playing WWE, and I remember the Hulk. So then when I was three, my mom and my dad ended up getting divorced, and yeah. So then my mom, shortly after that, ended up meeting this man, and he was kind of a cowboy. No, actually, his name was Bob, and he was 23 years older than my mom, which was kind of interesting, but he was basically my stepdad. So, Bob, like I said, was kind of a cowboy, and he loved watching westerns on TV, and he loved eagles, and he loved cars. He was a mechanic, and shut up, that's me trying to draw a car, okay? So then he also really, really, really loved Johnny Cash. Like, loved Johnny Cash. So when I was around 5 years old, they realized that I had a hearing loss. So I got some hearing aids and then I could hear. So that was kind of fun. I'm like, yeah, I can hear. And then of course, I ended up going to school, and that was kind of exciting. And I really liked Aladdin at the time, and I wanted to go on a magic carpet ride. So one of my earliest memories, I was on a school bus going to school, and this girl behind me pushed me on the school bus. We'll call her S, and I had a black eye, and the teachers didn't tell my mom all day, and I sat there with a black eye, and my mom came to pick me up and was pissed. So then in grade 1 to 3, trying to draw three, I kind of got bullied. So like a couple kids picked on me, and I was like, a little bit sad about it. But then my mom, being the awesome mom that she is, was like, hey, you, fight back. And I was like, okay. So then grade 4 to 8 kind of happened. I ended up being a bully because I was taught to fight back. So I made a bunch of people's lives miserable, and I was a mean bully. But I had this group of friends, and there was like 5 of us, and we all kind of bullied everybody, and we were bitches. Yeah, so specifically I remember bullying this one girl, we'll call her C, and I made her cry like every day, but years on I apologized and said I was sorry. In grade 5 and 6, I ended up really liking NSYNC. They were my favorite thing ever. I friggin' loved NSYNC. But dun dun dun, then grade 7 happened. It was horrible. I was a bad kid and ended up getting kicked out of school like more times than I was in school because I was mouthy. And I had this teacher named Mrs. Pearson. She was horrible. And she suspended me because she told me to wash off Sharpie on my arm, and I was like, no, fuck you, and then I got suspended, so. But yeah, no, in grade 7 and 8, I was just like this buildup of hormones and emotions, and I was happy and sad, and I liked music, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing with myself. I started to wear a lot of makeup, and I wore these like punky bracelets, and yeah, and I was like, I'm kind of sad. But then I started listening to Good Charlotte. They were my favorite band then, and I loved them. So, and then I secretly started listening to Marilyn Manson. Yeah, against my mom's request, but whatever. So then in the summer I ended up losing a lot of weight, and I was skinny, and I went into high school and I thought I was super cool because I dyed my hair purple. So yeah, high school was really interesting. So I ended up having one of my favorite friends, and her name was Jen, and we were like BFFs. And Jen and I ended up both liking this guy. His name was Craig, and he was super tall. And yeah, so Jen, no wait, how does this work? Um, so yeah, I liked Craig, and Jen liked Craig. So me and Craig started dating, and Jen and Craig started dating, but I knew about the whole thing. And Jen found out and ended up, she's like, fuck you, and she ended up throwing all my stuff out of my locker all down the hallway, and we weren't friends for a while. But then I ended up liking this other boy. His name was Dexter, and he had green hair, and he was cool and kind of punky and listened to cool music. And I was like, hell yeah, let's stretch my ears. Because I was like, I like you, and I thought he would like me if I did. So around that time, I started getting really into art class, and I had this awesome teacher. His name was Mr. Musset, and he had this awesome handlebar mustache, and he was so cool. And every day in art class, he would always have different movies on. So he would have Rocky Horror Picture Show, and Eraserhead, and um, uh, Nightmare Before Christmas. So that was really fun. And then in grade 10, I dyed my hair green. Woohoo! And I thought it was awesome. And I was like, I'm weird, yay, and I embraced it. But all these people in my school kind of liked me, so they were like, yeah, that's cool, whatever. So then in grade 10, John and I were friends again, and, oh sorry, grade 11, and I ended up meeting this boy named Jackson, and he was cool, and he was kind of weird, and made me laugh a lot, and he was funny, and he ended up having these big green wave pants that he wore to school that were big enough to fit both me and Jen in them, and we dated for 1.5 years, I think. So then I loved high school. I had friends, and it was fun, and right close to the end of high school, Jackson and I ended up breaking up because he had to move away because he was older than me, and I was kind of sad about it. And then I graduated. I was like, yay, get me out of here. And I decided to go to University of Ottawa and study art. And my frosh week happened, and I loved it. I felt totally in my own element. I ended up meeting all these really cool, awesome, older people, and I was like, this is so fun. So then I loved my YouTube channel at that time, and I started that, and I ended up meeting this boy in one of my art classes, and his name was Jeff, and we ended up dating for a few months, and then I unfortunately got mono, and I was really sick, and I was in the hospital for like 4 months, and I missed school, and Jeff and I ended things because I was sick, and I started to fail all my classes because I was missing school, so that was awesome. So then my second year, I decided to be a guide, and I was a Frost Week guide, so it was awesome, and I loved it, and it was the most fun I ever had. And then right after that, my grandmother, unfortunately, she was the best. She passed away kind of suddenly, and I was just really depressed, but she was awesome. And then I started to fail more of my classes because I was in this really depressed state, and at that point I realized that I wanted to quit school, so I was like, I quit, fuck you. However, I still wanted to do guide stuff, so I came back and did some of that. So that summer, unfortunately, my stepdad, Bob, he passed away, and it was really devastating and totally horrible, and I was really, really sad about it. So then I decided to go to beauty school for 10 months, and I studied feet and gross, nasty ladies' feet, and it was horrible, but I loved it at the same time. So around that time, I was just having fun. I was partying with friends and going out and drinking and dancing. And my YouTube channel was going awesome. I had awesome companies like Lamadol and Sugar Pill and OCC, and I loved it. So then Jeff and I started dating again, and we dated for a few more months, and then we broke up, and I was really sad that time. And I met this girl named Dana, and she was like my best friend, and I loved her. And yeah, so then around then I got a job, and I was making money and paying rent, and I was making money and partying and picking up boys that were like, hey baby, and I'm like, sure. So then I had this crappy old apartment, and I was like, fuck this apartment, and it was bad news, so I moved into this apartment, which was my awesome place, yay. And then this past winter, I decided to talk to Jeff again, and I was like, hey, he was like, hey. And then we started dating, and my friends really, really liked him. They're like, I like him. And we started dating. And he was brushing his teeth one day, and he's like, sup, baby, wanna be my girlfriend? And I was like, yeah, I totally do. It was really romantic. And then now I am working, and I have a cool boyfriend, and I have awesome friends, and I have YouTube, and I'm making money, and life is okay. But the future, I'm hoping to maybe get a better job in the beauty field and make more money and still have awesome times. But even though the road sometimes gets bumpy, is I always enjoy the view, and I just try to stay happy, and that's it. So that's the end of my life, and thank you for watching.